because we have to talk Jayden Daniels.
Yep.
This is, as much as anybody could like him, this is a lot. Like, I'm wondering if Cliff's going to get another head coaching gig at some point. Because I was reading Sando this morning. It's like, I think Cliff took a little bit too much heat in Arizona. Maybe I'm a little bit biased because I like him. But I was like, well, he's brought in for a specific reason. And I think those specific reasons kind of worked out. And Kyler gets hurt all the time. So, like, and here he is. Like, the week one Jayden versus what we saw. The Cincinnati game was like the wake-up call of like, oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the pace of their scoring and the completion percentage. How real is this? Because I'll look, and I'm going to give you credit here, too. When we were debating all the Caleb Jayden stuff, I remember late momentum for you going, the more you look at it, the more you kind of talk to people about it. There's a real, like, Jayden's probably, there's a lot of people that felt Jayden was the guy over Caleb.
Yes. And I told you, based off of last year's tape alone, that Jayden was the guy. I told you the story about, being on the sideline with Brian Kelly and talking about how he was going to let it rip in the Tennessee game and they got blown out. But he's like, the light kind of turned on in that game. And from that point on, he started to trust his reads and trust himself. And I saw so much progress in his development in like that year and a half span, right? Last year, his tape was significantly better than Caleb Williams. And so, when I was done with the tape, I remember getting on with you and being like, I don't know, man. Like, it's tough because what I'm seeing, it's like tangible versus Caleb. The special moments are so special. It's more of a toss-up. And then I started making the calls, as you alluded to, and there was real debate. And there were some teams, I told you, flat out, like Jayden would be our guy if we were in position to draft him, but we're not. And so talking to teams up at the top, they're not going to talk about the quarterback because that's their, they're in position to make a play. But other teams like legitimately are like, no, Jayden's our guy. So that was real. Now let's get to what's important. I always look at it through the lens, okay, what can we learn? What can we glean from this? I think a couple things stand out. First of all, what the situation you go into, Mike Denbrock, now at Notre Dame, I believe, as the offensive coordinator, he was with Jayden. Similar system. So when you get to the next level, are you coming into something brand new? Is all the verbiage the same? Are the progression reads the same? Are they different? How big of a transition do you have from what you did in college to the NFL? He was in basically the same system. So that transition was not that steep. It was not that big of a learning curve for him. That's critical. Second thing that's critical, 55 starts. And it's so simple. And I get it. There are outliers occasionally, but not as much as you would think. Like CJ Stroud, everyone's like, well, he's kind of the outlier. It wasn't 4 years. It wasn't, 40 plus starts, but he still was 25 starts. And so, if you want to call him the outlier, that's fine. There's always going to be an outlier. But if you start to go back and really study the history, and this is one of Parcells' things, and I think the numbers have increased now with guys transferring and moving around and finding the right spot and getting them to play more. But I think it's going to, for me, if I'm recruiting and I'm trying to go out and get a transfer quarterback, come here, you got 2 years to play, or whatever you're pitching. You got one more year to play. Come here and make $1 million or $2 million in NIL money versus, and I know it's always about, well, get the clock started. And agents are always pitching to get the clock started, to get that second contract in the NFL. But you know what? If I'm making a couple million or $1.5 million or even just $1 million in college, there's not quite that, quite as much pull to go get that second contract, because I'm starting to see guys that have experience and have success early on in their career. 55 starts, 29 at Arizona State, I think, and 26 at LSU, or maybe flip-flop. So to me, that you've got to learn from those sorts of things. And Jayden, like, that experience shows up. The lack of a huge transition from one system in college to the NFL, it shows up, and it allows and affords success. But then just Jayden himself, if he can protect himself and stay healthy, it's only going to continue on this arc. And I'm not saying every week's going to be perfect and all that, but he's arrived. This is who he is. He's comfortable with his weapons. He's comfortable with his system, his accuracy, his ball placement, his movement inside the pocket, and his running skills are that's all real. That's not going to change. So keeping healthy at his frame with his mobility is going to be the key. You can say that for everyone. The scouts get so mad when you're like, well, if he stays healthy, no shit if he stays healthy, right? That's always the response. I have it ringing in my head because every time I talk to a scout, they're like, well, you said if he stays healthy, no shit if he stays healthy. We all think that. But there are certain guys that are more prone to injuries in terms of their play style, their body type. I worry about that, but I don't worry about anything that I'm seeing on tape right now. It's like he's so advanced beyond a rookie quarterback. It's like this is his second or third year.
It's incredible. The numbers are incredible and makes you rethink what is possible in the entire division.